Who is to say what past experiences, large or small, were necessary to love our partners? Who knows if in another time or place we would have loved the same person? None of this makes the love we feel right now less real or important. It simply highlights how deeply enmeshed we are in our social world and how much it affects who we are. It's obviously not just who we love. What we think of as right or wrong, for example, is also deeply affected by the social world we inhabit. Should children be allowed to play away from their home without supervision? At what age is marriage appropriate? Under what circumstances, if any, is it okay to kill another human being? Answers to these questions have differed across time and continue to differ across cultures and communities. If you read any of the wildly popular self-help books out there, you might get the impression that we should not want to be shaped by our social environments. Many of these books focus on helping you be unapologetically, unreservedly your true self. This book doesn't argue against this aim so much as argue that it's not possible. People want and need social engagement, which means we can't live completely free of external influences and constraints. Much of what we want to think about ourselves doesn't match reality. Many of us think we are smarter, better looking, and nicer than we really are. When we do good things, like donate money to a charity, we think it's because we're good people. When we do bad things, ignore people in need, we think it's because of circumstances beyond our control. We also have a sense of knowing more than we do about our own psychology. For example, our beliefs about the world often shift, sometimes in ways we don't understand, in response to the beliefs of others. In other words, we are constantly getting things wrong about the way we work. But this is not a book about all the ways we mess up or are messed up. Rather, I want to focus on our sense of what we are, what it means to have and be a self. Our self is a construction of relationships and interactions, constrained and yet in search of the feeling of freedom. This tension, the need to exist in a coherent way and the desire to do and be whatever we want at any time, defines much of what it means to be human. Where do our experiences of self come from? Why do we need the feeling of freedom? Why is there a tension between self and freedom? And why does any of this matter? Our experience of the self must come from somewhere. Our interpretation of our decisions, the story we tell ourselves about who we are, must come from somewhere, and we've looked in a lot of places. Early on, Sigmund Freud theorized that the self was closely tied to sexual development. In the early 1900s, American sociologist Charles Cooley asserted that a person's self, at least in part, is constructed by how they think other people see them. He coined the term the looking glass self. In the 1930s, sociologist George Mead claimed that the self is developed through social interaction. If you couldn't see yourself through the eyes of others, Mead would say you have no self. Of course, the idea of the self isn't just scientific. Cultural movements have claimed that the self is innate. You're born a certain way and you will not change. Or that your self is handed down from above. God created you. Some Calvinists, for example, believed that people were born predestined for eternal life or damnation. When you see me, what do you see? A man? A black guy? A professor? Someone in a hoodie? A threat to you or a new friend? The truth is, if we meet and interact, you don't just see me. You see what your relationships have taught you about people like me. If you're a native of the United States, we see our shared racial history through the lens of current social concerns like the Black Lives Matter movement. We see each other's gender through recent shifts in gender expectations. Maybe we even state our pronouns. You might see me as a professor and engage me around your beliefs about professors' political views. Do you feel comfortable with me, or do you worry I am judging you?